Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Doing okay, thanks. You all?
Anthony, I know technically I'm not on the committee till the town council meeting tomorrow, but I think I could be a citizen today.
There you go. That'll work.
Carol, do you like the haircut? I got tired of it, the COVID length.
I've considered that. Looks good. Something different. Did you do it yourself? Or?
I
did.
That's great.
Hi, this is Sriram. Hey, Joe. Wow, you look different.
Yeah.
Hi, Carol.
It was getting down to about here. I looked like an aging hippie, so I decided to just cut it all off on Memorial Day weekend.
Well, I'm going to take myself off of camera unless it's required because I have my sling on. I had a shoulder surgery. So is it mandated? I guess not, right? Because somebody's joined in over the phone.
Yeah.
That would be me. This is Steve Miller. I'm on the phone.
I hope you're doing okay, Sharon. Good luck with the recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's a pretty long road.
Did you put your camera on the floor, Anthony?
No, I'm standing up at my desk, so I got this up on the counter right now. We're up on the table.
So Chief McCulley here, everybody on the line then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
Chief, this is Robert. I'm on the line, but I wasn't able to open the Zoom meeting on the computer.
Okay, do you want to move forward with the roll call?
I think I came in right on time. Mike Lempress is here. Hello.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
Hey guys, I was looking for the Zoom. There's no Zoom meeting here. It's just phone.
No, it's a Zoom. There's the meeting ID.
I'm not able. I didn't see how to get on. It doesn't matter. I'm on the phone now, but I can't see how to do it on video.
Yeah, I wasn't able to do that either.
There wasn't a Zoom link like some of us normally would have. There was a meeting ID. So if you have your own Zoom account, you need to go to that page, sign in with the meeting ID and password, just so you know, because I just didn't. I was on the phone, couldn't figure it out, and said, I need to go to my own page and sign in that way, and it worked just fine.
Yes, that's what I did.
Okay,
too.
I may flip that over. Okay, thank you.
And Mike, as I mentioned to Anthony earlier, since I got my application late, I'm not technically on the committee until the council votes tomorrow, but I've joined as a concerned citizen for this meeting.
I'm expecting that to be a controversial and hotly debated topic.
I think so. Especially if they see the haircut.
Oh, okay. Now I got to get on camera.
Jealous of that haircut.
I said, give me the Steve haircut.
Perfect.
I think I interrupted you all. We're just about to start roll call, I believe.
Right. And Sriram, are you doing that? Are you chair?
I don't know. Nobody told me I'm chair.
Well, you're vice chair. We have to elect a chairman, a new chair.
Okay. Well, go ahead with the roll call, everybody. Carol?
Carol Collins here.
Sriram Iyer here.
Steve Miller here.
Tom Owen here.
We have, all right, welcome, Tom. And then I know Joe's in the audience. And we'll skip Pledge Allegiance. So public comments, I don't know if anybody from the public's on the line. I did receive an email public comment. I'll wait to see if anybody chimes in.
Hi, yes, this is DJ Patel. I am the homeowner on 305 Stockbridge Avenue. I'm the one that sent in the email for the public comment.
Oh, great. Well, go ahead.
Great. So thanks for giving me the opportunity. I'm just returning from 15 weeks jointly running parts of the state's COVID task force. So kind of just looking through government things, and I saw this, and I want to just offer a little quick commentary. You know, we've been here on the corner of Stockbridge and Alameda, and we've seen a number of close calls and a number of accidents. I want to thank Steve for the prompt response on some of the feedback of the actual accidents. And since COVID, one of the things that I've noticed is an increased amount of pedestrian traffic, and which is a good thing. I think people want to go for walks. And the question I wanted to raise is, how do we improve pedestrian safety and just safety overall on the corner of Stockbridge and Alameda? In particular, you know, one of the hopes would be, at a minimum, thinking about some form of crosswalk or flashing lights or something. Just literally half an hour ago, there was a runner who was just kind of stuck just there waiting for traffic, and no one's yielding way or giving him a chance to cross over because it's the start of the increased traffic time. So I'm not sure what our process is, but I just wanted to offer that as commentary as a person who watches that intersection a good chunk of the day now, as somebody who's quarantined at home. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I guess we're on to new business. So we're welcoming our new member, Tom Owen. And Tom, again, I thank you for stepping up and committing your time. We really appreciate it. This is your opportunity to introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, Chief, before we move on, could we at least, we had a public comment. It's probably disappointing to make a comment and then not get a response. It may be worth explaining that we're generally precluded from engaging in responding at a meeting like this because of the Brown Act, but that we hear these things and consider them. So it's not like it's just going into the void. Okay.
Oh, thanks for the input. Yes, and we'll definitely, Robert Ovadia and I have already been discussing some of the issues there.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Good info.
Tom Owen, your introduction.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name's Tom Owen, and when the chief of police of your town calls and says he'd like you to do something, here I am. No, it's an honor to be involved. What the chief knows is I'm actually born and raised in town, and went off to school and a few other things, and have been back for 23, 24 years, live on Stockbridge. So I've seen the town as a pedestrian, I've seen the town as a bicyclist, and I've seen the town as a parent getting kids to school. And now that my kids are grown and out, you know, I see it as that guy that says, get off my lawn. But it's, you know, when Chief presented this opportunity, it made a lot of sense to me to, initially, I want to listen and kind of hear what the concerns are in more of a formal fashion, and then, you know, dive into what these things are and see where I can add some help.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it looks like our next item is to set and confirm the meeting schedule for the year, which pretty much already is, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, Chief.
All right. So we'll move on to item 3C, so appointment of chair and vice chair. And Robert O, help me out. How do we move forward with this? What's the process? I forget.
Members of the committee can nominate. Typically, it's the chair first. If there's a second, and then you do a roll call vote. Or I guess there'd be a second, then a call for additional nominations, if any, before proceeding into a vote.
All right. Any nominations for chair?
I would like to nominate Sriram if he is willing. He's done
Yes,
a good
I'm
job
willing. Thanks, Carol.
when he had to, when he knew he had to.
And do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you. Sorry, I keep
And-
muting myself.
And votes aye or nay. Carol,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Yes, the ayes have it. And how about nominations for vice chair?
I would suggest Carol if we do it on seniority and who's been on there, because like Tom, I'm still relatively new. So
I second it.
All right.
Thank you.
So here we go with the votes for Carol. So Sriram,
Aye.
Stephen,
aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and the ayes have it. Well, congratulations to both. I appreciate you stepping up and doing that.
Thank you.
You look so thrilled, Carol.
You're welcome. Stay healthy, Shuram.
Thank you, Carol.
Now we're on to
All of us.
yeah, and now we're on to old business. Robert, anything on that?
Do you have minutes to approve?
Oh, sorry
Yes.
about that. I missed that one. Number 4, approval of minutes of the May 12th, 2020 meetings minutes.
I move they are adopted as submitted.
I
And a
second it.
second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now, Robert Obadia, on to you.
Certainly. Well, thank you, Chief. So we're just going to provide a brief update on the townwide local traffic flow long-range planning solution study. As you know, the council has approved an outreach effort. We had been on hold for a while. I am pleased to say that we have some tentative dates set for public outreach. In consideration of the current climate with COVID, the meetings will be held virtually. And so rather than 4 individual town halls, we're going to have 2 online virtual meetings. We will be doing e-blasts and I think a mailer to advise our residents of the meeting dates. There is, as we had gone through previously, a website that has been set up to solicit input and feedback from our residents with regards to traffic flow and neighborhood management, neighborhood traffic concerns. So that is up and running. And so the tentative dates, if we can get the mailers out this week, will be set for August 6th and August 13th.
Any particular?
Both held at 6 p.m.
Hey, Robert, can I ask this question of the dates? Generally, we've avoided doing things in August just because people tend to be on vacation. Did we affirmatively decide to do this in August, or how did we end up in August?
Well, I think that there's a couple of things. There was a desire by the committee in the town to move the project forward. The ability for folks to travel is and things is really I guess it's kind of discouraged to a degree, and so we figure that a lot of people will be still sheltering at home. We don't anticipate that the shelter-in-place orders and things will be pulled very much, but the added fact that you can attend the meeting from anywhere is something that is new, and so even if people are traveling, if they desire to attend the meeting, they're welcome to do so and encouraged to do so. And so though the council is dark in August, the various other committees and commissions are still active. So for example, the Planning Commission still has their August meeting. The Rail Committee still has its August meeting. And so the council is dark, but there is still other town activities happening.
Okay.
Any questions from any other members?
Is there some sort of a quorum expected to be able to move forward, or it doesn't matter how many citizens respond?
Well, we are, like I said, we're going to be soliciting input. People can attend the meetings and provide their input in the meetings, but they can also do so online. And so we anticipate that through those efforts, people will be participating, and we will certainly be happy to share that input that we get with the committee. We will also be sharing it with council. And right now, the first part of the effort is really soliciting input from our residents with regards to concerns.
But the answer is, if nobody shows up at the meeting, that's just what happens. Nobody, or if 2 people show up, you get a report out.
I'm going to say if nobody shows up to the meetings, we're going to be concerned about it, and we will probably have additional efforts redoubled to make sure that we get input.
Thanks, Mike. That answered the question, and then Robert. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so if there's nothing else, we'll move on to staff reports. Typically, we just take questions, but I think for Tom, since he's new on the panel, it'd be worthy of Sergeant Kokler, our detective sergeant, also over our police traffic unit, to go through our monthly reports. And then just to give you a little background, our traffic unit consists of 2 full-time motorcycle officers, and then we're fortunate to have a long-time previous Atherton police officers, now one of our reserves motor units. And as most of you know, between traffic and schools, there are 2 main focuses during the patrol day. We're very fortunate to have, with all the traffic that we have been coming through on ECR, Middlefield, Alameda, and all the cut-through traffic, we're really fortunate to have a very low collision picture, especially even lower when we speak about injuries and 0 fatalities for several years. So Sergeant Kokler, if you would go through somewhat briefly each month, and then we can take any questions, particularly Tom, if you have any questions about how and why we prepare these reports.
Thank you.
Sure. So we'll go over the May report first. For May, we had 3 traffic complaints, and all of the complaints are listed on the sheet there with the number of minutes spent in the area and what the dispositions are as far as citations, warnings, etc. No DUI arrests were made in May. No truck stop details were performed in May. Officer Rojas and Officer Boyle were assigned to the traffic division during May, and how many hours they were scheduled for and how many citations they produced is written there. And then during the month of May, we had a total of 3 traffic collisions. None of the collisions involved injuries. One of the collisions was a hit and run, and one of the collisions was caused by somebody driving under the influence of alcohol. None of the collisions occurred during the morning commute time, but one of the collisions occurred during the afternoon commute time. And in May, we had 95 total violations that were written, and then another 162 verbal warnings and 5 additional investigative traffic stops. And then for June, we had 3 traffic complaints. Again, those traffic complaints are listed there with the number of minutes spent in the area and what the dispositions were. We had 2 arrests made for driving under the influence during the month of June. Neither of the arrests were due to a traffic collision. No truck stop details were performed in June. Officer Rojas and Officer Boyle, again, were in the traffic division during the month of June, and their hours and their combined sites are listed there. We had 2 traffic collisions. None of the collisions involved injuries. One of the collisions was a hit and run, and again, none were caused by anybody driving under the influence. And both of those collisions occurred during the afternoon commute period. And in June, we had 153 total written violations and another 96 verbal warnings and 18 other investigative traffic stops.
Thank you. So a couple of questions. What is a traffic complaint? Is that someone saying that they're speeding on Stockbridge and would you look into it type of thing?
Right. So a traffic complaint is when somebody calls the police department or notifies an officer of something going on in a certain location, be it speed or stop sign violation, red light violation, And what we do is we put those into our computer system and we let them run for about a week. And we try to narrow down the times that they're happening. And then we'll send an officer out based upon calls for service and availability to work that area. And then as soon as the officer is done working that area, he'll let our dispatcher know, or she'll let our dispatcher know how many citations were written, how many traffic stops were made, etc.
Okay, interesting. So the complaint goes through a very formal process internally, and then data is accrued, and then results are given.
Right.
Okay, awesome. And then my other question would be investigative traffic stops. What are those?
So sometimes officers will be working at night and may see a violation, but quite possibly they're looking for, let's say, a drunk driver. Let's say they're seeing somebody straddling lanes, or maybe somebody who stops past the limit line, or maybe somebody that starts rolling on a red light anticipating it to be green and they'll stop the vehicle. And then what they're doing is, yes, there's a violation, but they're really trying to see if maybe the person is intoxicated. So a lot of times the officer will clear that out with an investigative traffic stop.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And then Tom, just a question on our complaints. Our most common traffic complaint, as you can imagine, is speed, and we do formally accept those. We always get back to the complainant with the results. Sometimes they're satisfied, sometimes they're not. For the report that we had in May, had a gentleman up on Walsh Road, very persistent about speeding issues, and we are fortunate to have some technology. It's a radar box that nobody knows what it is, and we're able to hang it in the area and do traffic data studies. And then that tells us what kind of problem we're dealing with. So we did spend, 335 minutes, a lot of phone calls with this gentleman, put out the our black box, as we call it, and we're able to show him that there really isn't a consistent problem. I don't think he was totally satisfied, but I think he understood. And more often than not, when we get these complaints and do our speed study in the area, it's really not showing that there is a problem, but we still go out, take a look, and always get back to our resident who took the time to talk to us and file a complaint.
Interesting. Good to know. Thank you, Chief.
Hey, Chief, if I could, on that specific one, I was surprised. 335 minutes is a long time, and that's 5.5 hours.
Well,
and
it
0
is,
citations.
and
That seems like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because there was no real issue there. And what we should have done in this case prior to going out, because we also put our variable message sign out indicating that, there was taking a look at the speed coming through, warning people, cautioning them. He was just very persistent, and he wouldn't really take, no for an answer, or that there wasn't an issue. His main concern was he has small kids and that them playing in the road. And it's like, well, sir, as a parent, you're responsible to make sure that they're not in the road. And our traffic study was showing that there was nothing, but he kept complaining. So we kept going back out. And my experience in doing this for a while is, sometimes you just have to, either talk with the person, myself, or the commander, or bring them in and say, look at, we have other priorities. We've been out there. We're trying to see if there's an issue, and one doesn't exist. Most of the time, they walk away pretty satisfied. I think this guy was fine at the end, but sometimes it's hard to make everybody happy. And believe me, if there's a real issue out there, we work with Robert Ovadia. Is there any engineering or traffic calming that we can do, or other things? But most often, it's their perception that the cars are speeding. We've even gone out. I know the commander's gone out with some citizens who were very persistent. Asked them, as cars were going by, asked them to estimate what the speed was, then had them use the radar gun themselves, and they realized that their perception was totally off.
If I could, I had a couple other questions. And one's just a background. So there was an accident on Marsh Road. It's 660 feet east of Middlefield. That must barely be in town, right? But the driver was arrested for DUI by the Highway Patrol. Can you tell me how that happens?
Yeah,
when we do it and when they do it, how that works?
Yeah. So the original violation occurred when the drunk driver just about took our officer trainee and his trainer head on. They got into a short pursuit that took them out into unincorporated San Mateo County. And the agreement with the Highway Patrol is any collision that occurs in unincorporated, they handle. And so they arrested the driver for DUI.
Okay. And then
Any other questions on our traffic reports?
could you give some context of how this compared to, say, last year or some non-COVID month? Just
Well,
for
yeah,
context.
that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So the stats that you see for the 2 months that Sergeant Colker went through, our traffic statistics are fairly low because when COVID started, it's very consistent with not only the Highway Patrol, but other agencies and the Sheriff's Office in this county. Due to social distancing and concerns, as we were all trying to get our hands around what we were dealing with, we pretty much went into reactive mode only, and we're actually handling all the calls that we could by phone, only going out to residents when we could, and then limiting traffic stops if it was someone that really needed to be stopped. Now that we have more of an understanding what's going on with our personal protective equipment and hand sanitizer and others, as of July 1, we've gone back to as normal proactive patrol as we can. So you're going to see those statistics go up. But what's really important to note is, again, the volume of traffic that we have and the number of, traffic and hours of traffic enforcement we're doing. We're very fortunate to have a very low collision picture, and even lower when you look at any serious injuries. And I don't recall when the last motor vehicle fatality was. Do you know, Anthony?
Yeah, the last motor vehicle fatality we had was the auto versus pedestrian at El Camino and Almondrell. And that was before the pedestrian light was put up there at that intersection.
What year was that?
I want to guess
8 years ago?
2015, maybe?
No, it was before that. I think it was more like 10,
Maybe it was
10
earlier.
12 from there, yeah.
I'm gonna go with 10, 12.
I'd have to find it, but it was quite a while ago.
Yeah, and then another thing to note, for more background, even though we have our designated traffic enforcement officers, meaning the motor officers, all patrol officers, the commander, and even myself, we're all out there handling traffic, responding to collisions. It's not just the motorcycles, it's everyone when they can. And it is obviously a shift priority, day shift and night shift is traffic. Because a lot of things that we do from traffic stops, as Anthony was mentioning, lead to other investigations. It undercovers burglars, it prevents crime, it mitigates crime. So traffic stops is a big part of what we do. And you've probably all seen what the proposal is in the city of Berkeley is to remove that responsibility from the police and somehow give it to unarmed public works employees. I have no idea how that would work. Traffic enforcement, it really is. And I understand sort of the concern, like you're making a traffic stop and thereby you're getting into a situation which could become violent. And that's true. But it really is the bread and butter of patrol. It allows us to make contacts, particularly with our residents. It's part of community engagement. It's part of education. And I can tell you, without traffic stops, it's just like without having police. I'm not sure, well, I can tell you what would happen. I think most people do know. So that's a lot of the stuff that we need to work with. Fortunately, in this town, the council's always been very supportive. Our residents are over the top about their support, and so we are very, very fortunate here in Atherton.
And if I can just add real quick, the last fatal collision was that one. I just double checked it. It happened on July 23rd, 2014.
14. Yeah. Well, you win the over-under on that one.
Yeah. And to give Tom some context, if I could, the other members probably already know this, but the transportation committee itself got involved in those traffic lights, the ones along El Camino, and play an important role in how many we have and where they're going to be and how it's going to work. So just so you know.
Yeah, no, I followed that back in, I guess it would be post that incident. So I'm curious though, Chief, if you have any ideas why the traffic or the collision picture is as low as it is in our town, given the amount of traffic that's coming through both, Middlefield, El Camino, Alameda, and then the lateral stuff.
I think part of it, relative speed overall, is low, except for ECR. We do get some speeding there, but ECR is more of a somewhat limited access facility. I think it's just, a lot of visibility by patrol, by our motor officers, and the lower speed. When we do have a collision, like I said, it's typically non-injury or minor injury. It's very rare that we even have a serious injury collision.
You know, that's great. I agree with you for what it's worth on the patrol element, that it is the public presence, or it is the presence of our police force. And that sets the tone for folks who live here and are coming here.
All right. See, now we're at future agenda items. And this is the opportunity for committee members to discuss and put something forward.
Committee members, please don't be shy.
I might suggest a roundabout, but maybe I'll do that later. Any public comment? Anybody come on the meeting? Anybody last public comments?
Maybe I'll just add one comment, if it's helpful to Steve or anybody in the Atherton PD. If it's helpful to review anything around COVID and officer safety, I'm more than happy to help. I just led a bunch of these efforts for the state, and so happy to share if that's of use or utility. Obviously, just in the vein of wanting all the officers and everyone to be safe.
I appreciate that. Greatly appreciated. All right, everyone. Our next meeting is Tuesday, September 8th. That's only 4 days after my 59th birthday. All cards and gifts are welcome.
All right. We'll make sure of that.
And with that, I wish you all a good night, unless there's anything else.
Hey, good night.
Thanks,
Thank you, Chief.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.